Road Trips and Missing Persons by Adriana in the Snow. Chapter 21. Emil's car, of course, did not have the built-in button that would let him into the base's outer gates like Remy's would have. Instead, Remy had to get out of the car and put his face in front of the security camera. He waved, and someone must have seen and recognized him because the gate swung open to let them through. Remy climbed back into the car, and Emil drove up towards what appeared to be an abandoned factory. "Since you're not an agent, they'll want us to go inside the shell building instead of down to the parking garage for security," Remy told him. Emil had never actually been to the base. He usually met with Logan at another location, or sometimes Emil's office, and he met any patients in his office as well. Thus, he had absolutely no idea what parking garage his brother was talking about, or where on earth it could be, but he could figure out where Remy must want him to go because there was only one building in sight. He drove down the driveway towards what looked like the main entrance of the factory. "Weird," Remy said as Emil pulled up in front of it. "There's another car here." They exchanged a glance. Remy mumbled something that sounded like "damned kid" under his breath. They were both scrambling to get out of the car the next moment. Remy went ahead of Emil because he knew more about this place, and also Emil would not have been able to stop him. The door had been left slightly ajar, and Emil could hear voices as they approached. Emil heard Virgil's voice, and thank God Remy was right about where he'd been going, say, "You know my dad?" An unfamiliar voice responded with a shocked, "Remy's dead?" Which was right when Remy made it to the door. Without missing a beat, Remy threw open the door and said, "Quit telling everyone I'm dead!" Now, Emil loved a good animated movie reference usually, but today he couldn't help but roll his eyes. There were a few seconds of silence before one figure he didn't recognize on sight finished the quote by saying, "Sometimes I can still hear his voice." "Dad?" Virgil asked, sounding all types of vulnerable and confused. "Kid," Remy said, "you are the bane of my existence." He put his hands on his hips. "I'm dead for 5 minutes and you skip town?" Emil watched Virgil's face as he quickly adjusted to the fact that his father was not in fact dead, but simply an emotionally constipated idiot with a flair for dramatics. He narrowed his eyes. "Yeah, and where have you been, old man?" "Running after you once the wrist tracker said you'd booked it 50 miles away by the time I knew you were missing, which then stopped tracking." "Yeah, well, I threw it out a window because I thought you were dead, and I'm not stupid." "Well, your lack of stupidity has made my life a living hell for the last few hours." "Right back at you, not dead, Dad," Virgil shot back, hands on his hips, and very much mirroring his father with his sass. Remy paused for a moment and then snorted a bit. "Come here, Pipsqueak. Your old man deserves a hug after you nearly gave him a heart attack." Virgil still looked a bit sullen, but went in for the hug anyway. Virgil caught sight of Emil over Remy's shoulder and drew back from the hug. "Uncle Emil," he said, sounding relieved. "I tried to call you." Emil turned to glare at Remy. "Ugh," Remy said. "Yeah, that one may have been my bad too." Logan interjected. By the look on his face, Emil could tell that his willingness to let Remy and Virgil have a moment was wearing thin. "Also tried to call him." Remy just shrugged. "Yeah, well, boss, someone drilled it into my head not to give out secret critical information on unsecured lines, and I am definitely critical." Logan gave him an unimpressed look, and Remy shrugged and winked at him after a moment. He dug the flash drive he'd stolen from Barbara out of his pocket and tossed it at Logan. "Oh, and also this." Logan caught it and raised an eyebrow at it. "What is this?" "Enough information to want to kill me for it." He paused. "Of course, that's not a high bar, considering she tried to kill me before I stole it." Logan put the flash drive in his chest pocket. "I'll decide if I'm going to kill you after I look at what's on this." "Fair enough," Remy agreed. "So, you're a secret agent?" Virgil asked. "Yep," Remy confirmed. Virgil looked over at Emil. "Don't look at me," Emil said. "I'm just a run-of-the-mill psychiatrist." "Who gives therapy to secret agents?" Remy pointed out. "Even secret agents need therapy sometimes," Emil said, "and I already knew about the organization." Virgil turned back to his dad. "I'm mad at you," he said. "Ah," Remy said. "Yeah. Teach me to shoot a gun, and I'll forgive you." "No!" Both Emil and the man he didn't know said at once. "Trust me," the other man continued. Now that he looked closer, the man may have been slightly familiar, but Emil couldn't quite place where he might have seen him before. "He doesn't need to learn how to use a gun. He does just fine with a knife." Remy considered Virgil suspiciously for a few seconds at that odd comment. "What did you do, you little shit?" "Remy!" the other man chastised. "He's hurt a lot worse." Remy waved him off. The other man frowned at him, but Remy just turned back to Virgil. "Now what did you do?" "I needed a ride," said Virgil. "What about a knife?" "The knife helped me get a ride." "Did you kidnap Patton at knife point?" Remy asked. Virgil just shrugged. "Kid!" "And you allowed that to happen?" Logan asked the man Emil presumed was Patton. "He wasn't exactly scary," Patton said. Virgil looked almost affronted. "I was terrifying." "Sure you were, kiddo," Patton said. Virgil pouted at him, undermining his own point. "From what I understand, he also incapacitated one of Nelson's men with pepper spray," Logan interjected. He eyed Virgil. "We should have a conversation at some point in the future." "Logan," Patton chided. "He's 15. "I'm aware of his age," Logan said. Virgil looked at him. "Would you teach me how to use a gun?" "Hey, if anyone is going to teach my child how to use a gun, it's me," Remy insisted. "No one is teaching him how to use a gun," Emil said. "He doesn't even have his driver's license yet." "If I agree to take driver's ed, then can I get a gun?" Virgil asked. "Maybe," Remy said. "No!" Emil exclaimed. "Okay," Virgil said, completely ignoring Emil's interjection. "But Janice is not allowed to teach me to drive after last time. He's the one who told me the gas pedal was the brake on that golf cart. I don't want to crash another vehicle into a body of water." "Wow," a new voice said from the door. Emil looked over to see a group of damp people walk into the building. Emil did not recognize 4 of them, but he did recognize the 5th. The speaker turned to Janice. "You must be cursed. Wish you would have told me before we used my car instead of Remus's." A woman in the group turned to Logan. "We found your kids," she said.